Welcome to Skillcast, the podcast by the London Organisation of Skills Development, where skills are the forefront of all conversations. My name is Nurbanu, and I'll be the host for Season 1. Join me as I dig deep and be a little nosy and find out the story behind the skills our expert guests share with us.
I'm joined today with Manish Naidu. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great. Thanks a lot. It's been a wonderful conference in Oxford, and thanks to invite me into the podcast today. My name is Manish Naidu, and I run a company called Brain Wonders, which is the largest career counseling company in the country. And we started in 2011, and that's where the journey starts.
What were you doing before?
1999 to 2008 is 2010 rather. I was one of the largest distributors of HP, Compaq, Lenovo, Asus laptops. I got married in 2006 and had my first beautiful daughter in the year 2008. And that is when the fatherly feeling of identifying what to do next started. So when I was trying to get into the first preschool for her, I did not know whether I should be doing a Glenn-Doman method, Maria Montessori method, left and right brain. Being into trading, it never excited me. It was just box moving. I could not do anything else. Probably it is also fueled by the fact that I scored excellent in maths and English, but maths was given more precedence than English during those days. And my mother wanted me to be an engineer, and soon I realized that computers don't talk to you back. And that is when I realized that I should be into something where I could talk and things could start making better. And my first child, I was very finicky as a father, first-time father. I wanted to understand if it's my wife is a teacher, and I love logic and maths. So if I wouldn't have started what I've started, I would have probably pushed her to become an engineer or a doctor like everybody else. And my wife would have wanted her to be in arts or humanities. So, and happy child concept is what I wanted. So fortunately, I was dealing with an Taiwanese company called Asus. And that's when I met Professor Lin in one of the Taiwan exhibitions. And then history happened. I got it in India.
Wow, so tell me a bit more about Brain Wonders. What is it all about?
So Brain Wonders started with a concept of happy child concept. So we do genetic mapping. So what we do is we identify the hidden potential, the genetic mapping of a child on the basis of fingerprints. You will say, wow, fingerprints is astrology. It's not. So the fingerprints are connected to your brain, and the fingerprints are formed when the child is in the mother's womb between the 13th week to 19th week. Fingerprints don't change. Fingerprints are the last to be degenerated from a decomposed body. Fingerprints gives you a lot of genetic intelligence, a lot of genetic traits. So what Professor Lin has done through his US patent in 2008, which 2005 he filed in and he got it in 2008, is we identified that through fingerprints, we could be in a position to identify the innate characteristics, the left and right brain dominance, the learning style of a particular child, the various learning styles, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. That's the reason why your teacher teaches 35 kids, but all of them get different marks because the teaching style of the particular teacher doesn't match with the learning style of the child. So once you identify the learning style, life becomes much more easier. Part 2 is that you identify the child's innate potential between the age of 0 to 8, because 0 to 3 is 60% of the brain development, 3 to 8 is the balance 20. So if at all you get the right child at the age of 0 to 8, it moves in. So what DMIT, Dermatographics Multiple Intelligence Test, which was rechristened as DTS, Dermatographics Test Center, which we'll be presenting in the Oxford today. We identify the child's innate potential, strengths, weakness, characteristics, work on it, counsel the parents. It's never the onus on the child to be a better child. It's always the onus on the parent to be a better parent. So once we do that, we get a 24-page report, something like this, and then it talks to you about everything as if, oh la la, I mean, you know everything about the particular child, and then you have to work towards it. So though it is centric towards the K-12 sector, but 80% of my clients are above the age of 35 or 40, because there would be some sort of midlife crisis working onto it. So the age group right is from 0 to 35 or 40. That's what we do.
And that's all just from a fingerprint?
That's all from the fingerprint. See, fingerprint swab, it's all genetic. So fingerprints and your retina are the two things which never changes. So in India, when we do the Aadhaar card and we do the biometric, we take the fingerprints and the retina. So fingerprint, which is formed in the first trimester when the child is in the mother's womb, characterizes the personality trait and the innate potential. Now, the difference between a prodigy and a normal person is 10,000 hours according to Malcolm Gladwell's outliers. So if at all we identify the potential of a child at an early age and we give 13 years of experience, exposure with 3 hours each, it is equivalent to the prodigy. So that's what we do. So all through the fingerprints. So it's a very patented test. We take it through this particular scanner. It's connected to an Android mobile. We don't save data. We don't do anything. We are connected with NSGL. So we have done all the PSLEs possible. So once the scans is being taken in, it gets uploaded to my Taiwan and the Malaysian lab. Once the report comes back, then we would be in a position to take the report. And then my 54 counselors across the 108 centers and 1,200 schools in India manages to do it.
Oh, wow. And how long is the turnaround for the report?
3 days. So generally the TAT is 3 days for the report to come back and for us to counsel them.
And then what happens once they got the report? What's the next step?
So let's take 3 different cases. Say, for example, one is probably 25 to 28 and they would have done their master's and their degree in some particular college and university, and now they were struggling to identify that what should we do next. So for them, the counseling is going to be different in terms of the career. For somebody who is age of 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, it is more of identification of the learning style and the brain development. So for example, if the logic is slow and if the child is visual learner, then you would probably tell them to do a Rubik's Cube and a chess sort of an activity to improve the fine motor intelligence and then the logical intelligence. So there are 16 different types of multiple intelligence which can be mapped on the basis of your 10 particular fingerprints. So there's connected this, their thumb, index, middle, parietal, temporal. It's all connected to each other, and that's why you get connected, and that's how the report comes in. And then the counselor counsels, and then we give them the career path A, if it is above the age of K-12, 8, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. Stream selection, you go a bit down, visual, auditory, kinesthetic style, you go a bit down, then a parenting style, you go a bit up. So McDonald's uses my test, the psychometric test platform. You go out there. It is also used comprehensively through the HR. So that's what we do. So human resource, McDonald's uses the test, psychometric test, to understand the human resource capabilities of the person so that they do not have to spend 6 months in a probation period trying to understand what the child does or the person does.
What's the accuracy of this particular test?
I keep getting the question. Basically, I vouch for 80 to 85% of it. My franchisees, directors, principals, trustees across the country, they vouch for almost 90 to 95% of it, which means that out of 100% people who take it, all the 100 people vouch for 90 or 95% and above. So that's the brilliant accuracy ratio which we have in.
And how often, is it just a one-off test someone does in their life, or they must do it multiple times?
No. So fingerprints never change because the fingerprints, it's a one-time test, but the counseling happens every year because what I or my counselor recommends to the child or the parent, more importantly, at the age of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 will vary according to the variance degree of children. We have got more than maybe 100 to 150 testimonies of parents who have done it at an earlier age, and now they have made a difference.
So there's a lot going on at the moment in the media about how through our diet and our lifestyle, we can change our genetics, especially when it comes down to cancer, for example. There is a lot in the media out there because they say that certain foods cause inflammation in our bodies and things can change. And you mentioned the fingerprint is a genetic reading. So that's why I was asking, can it change?
So exposure and is needed for an innate potential to move to prodigy. Interestingly, the fingerprints was not being used to identify the educational talent. It was used to identify Down syndrome cases. So people with mentally retarded and Down syndrome, slow learners, ADHD. There's a particular fingerprint trait and a pattern which was being used to it. So it was used more from the medical reason, and now we have got into a field where it could be used for everybody. But yes, genetic, once you start improving on your lifestyle and everything, there is a variable change in the way you look at into it. So the personality trait will keep changing, but you need to have a base. So that base is what the scientific DTS or the NeoMIT does for Brain One does.
So where can they get this brain scan done?
So during COVID, we pivoted a model where we could do it online with the photographs, but then we have a simple Android device. We have the scanner. There's 30 scans. It takes hardly 2 minutes. It's a non-invasive test. And we take all the disclaimer and all the information needed from the parent. And once we take it on, we take the scan. It's a 3-minute process. Once that happens after 5 days. So we have got 108 centers in India, and we have got 12 global centers across the country, across the globe. where we do this test. And for somebody whom we can't reach it, we can also do it online through photographs.
So the accuracy in terms of if they were to do it online, what is the accuracy of it?
So good question. So even if they do it online or offline, there's a particular rich count which happens in. So if the prints are not clear, the report would never get generated. So it's not that half of the report get generated because it's offline. Either we have all in or all out. That's the way it works.
Okay. So in terms of your centers, which center are you mainly based at?
So we're based out of Bombay because we're born and brought up in Bombay. So we are based out of Mumbai, but we have got 4 COCO centers, company-owned, company-operated centers in Delhi, Bombay, MP, Chennai, Bangalore, and Noida. And we have got 108 centers across it. A lot of principals and educational trustees use this particular technology to identify the next leadership because they would want to create an all-star workforce. So it's being used predominantly by even the educational sectors to identify the next man in to take over the command.
So is this a franchise or is it just...
It's a franchise model where we work in. With the schools, we work directly, but otherwise it's largely operated through a franchise network. That's how we can scale it and we can reach to people.
Wow. So how can people reach out to you if they were interested in this?
Well, we have a website, www.brainwonders.in, and you could always send us an email on support@brainwonders.in for either franchisee or you would want to do a test for yourself and see how it works.
Do you offer like a trial period if they want to test it out?
No. It's completely on the cost because when we started in 2011, obviously we had a lot of struggle in terms of telling the people what it is all about, and it took a lot of time for us to establish ourselves. But now that we are fairly decently established, it's a cost which we charge with, which is very reasonable.
Oh, awesome. So in terms of skills and training, do you offer the training if they decide to buy into the model?
For the franchisee, you say?
Yes.
Oh, we handle them completely. Say, for example, if somebody wants to take it over a particular city or a state, right from identification of fingerprints to the counseling, to the training of the counselors, handling them for the first few reports, marketing, digital marketing. So we are one of the largest in terms of the organic traffic. We get close to 6.5 million traffic in our website alone, and that too only in India. And most of them, so almost there is a conversion ratio of 3 to 5% of the organic traffic which comes in. So in terms of lead generation, in terms of sending across the leads, in fact, it's the other way around. It's a happier problem to solve. We have people wanting to do the test, but we do not have centers where we have to do. We do not have the people to move into it to do it. So, like for example, if you want to start in UK, you could start immediately, and you'll have floods of people wanting to do the test themselves.
So, in terms of who can take the test, who can do the test for an individual who's interested, can anyone do the test for someone, or do you need a certain qualification to take the test?
Yeah. So the scans can be obviously taken by anybody because just taking of the scans and the attending. But the counseling happens either through clinical psychologist, counseling psychologist, or somebody who has done the graduation, and then we give them a huge training for the first 3 months, and then they are equipped enough with our certification course to do the test.
Oh, so you provide the certification for doing the counseling as well?
Yes.
So the person doing the test, can they also do the qualification for the counseling?
We can. There are some criteria. We do the DMIT or the genetic intelligence report of the person himself or herself, so that we identify if he or she is the right person to, because there's a lot of empathy needed. There's a lot of logical reasoning needed. There's a lot of situational awareness needed to do the counseling. It's not just a counselor. I'm not a counselor myself, but we have close to 50 counselors under us and so many people who have got trained. So the situational awareness is very important. So we do identify those traits through the fingerprint pattern. We do the DMIT and then allow somebody to be a franchisee. So even if somebody wants to become a franchisee, we take the test first, identify it, whether he's the right person ahead, and then move ahead.
So in terms of the whole setup, if someone says they want to go ahead with the franchise, how long does it take to get all set up and ready to go, basically?
So it's brilliant. So the beauty of this particular product is, there is no capital expenditure required. There is no OPEX required. All you require is the training, the intellectual property, which we give it to you. And you have to go and do the workshops, trainings, which we also equip to you. So right from signing of the MOU to you being the right person and in that particular city, state, territory to do it, it should not take more than 20-25 days. So 4 weeks is good enough for you to start rolling in.
It's an interesting avenue, and someone who's open-minded to this particular device. Very cool.
Interestingly, a lot of skill development companies who would want to identify themselves and make a mark stating that we are different in terms of skills, they would want to, they have been a part of this because this is the only way how they could differentiate themselves from somebody else. So if you are just into skills and training, and if you do the skills and training part by identifying the potential of the participants, that makes your training much more brilliant. So a lot of LSD partners, learning skill development partners, are a part of our franchisee and training program because that's what sets them apart from the run-of-the-mill training companies.
No, absolutely. I think doing something like this can help find out what your natural abilities are, because sometimes we go out in the world and we're doing jobs and things and we don't truly know what our true potential is. And if we can get a genetic reading of what someone's true skills are and where their skill set lies, maybe if you go down that route. So if you are someone who's kinesthetic and you're quite good with your hands and things, and to establish that would probably help you find your purpose, because the word purpose and finding what your calling is, it's super important. A lot of people don't know what their purpose, they don't know what their calling is, but if they can figure out what skill set they naturally, intuitively have, that in its own right will help finding your path to where you're meant to be. So no, I completely think this is a really cool idea. But the only thing is I haven't done one yet. Do you think I could get one?
You can.
Yeah.
There is a particular scanner and there's a particular
awesome.
Any Android device.
Do you think we can do this live on this podcast?
Yeah, we could do it live. So there's a particular scanner which we have in, and we take the scans. This is the way the report would get generated in, and it's completely a SaaS platform. So if you want to tailor make in, and say for example tomorrow LOSD wants to do it, we can have the tailor made with the name of LOSD onto it, and you could just bomb blast the UK market with it. Because we also have this 523 careers mapped to 18 industries and colleges and universities. So it's a huge market. Nobody knows about the careers as well. So there's another gambit of it. So each one of us cannot talk about more than 20, 30, 40, 50 careers, and that too they would have a very bleak information. We at the back end have 523 careers mapped to 11,000 colleges and courses in India, obviously. And we could also do it for international markets. It's a easy pie for us. Scaling it. Scale is the game out here.
Absolutely. Are there any big brands that use this particular program?
Yes. So McDonald's uses it. ABSLI, Aditya Birla, HDFC. So a lot of BFSI companies uses it. There are very famous chain schools like the Ryan International, the Podars, the Hello Kids, the Sanfords, the Petals. Few of the DAVs use it. A lot of government organizations, Punjab, Meghalaya, Tripura, Bangalore, Karnataka, they use my psychometric test platform also. I mean, we are also one of the largest psychometric test platforms in the country. So they also use my psychometric test platform to just do it for the ones who have got just one shot towards life. For the upper middle class and the privileged, you can just, you can do 3 or 4 different things. But for the downtrodden, it's just one shot, and you have to do it right.
So you're mainly based in India, but obviously you're open to the international market. What about out in Asia? So China, Taiwan, is it popular there, this particular
It is very, very popular there. So we started as a master franchisee for India. So from 2011 to 2017, we were the master franchisees. From 2017 onwards, we signed an international agreement with Professor Lin. So wherever the English is being spoken is where we could be present, and wherever there are Chinese being spoken, more importantly in China, China and Southeast Asian countries, Professor Lin has got huge inroads out there, being the genetic medicine. Our job is to take care of pan-global, the rest of the places where English is predominantly high.
Very cool and very interesting. Let's get my scan done.
Yeah, can you just give me a thumb? So we'll have to take 3 impressions. One is left, right, and center. So interestingly, there are 16 different types of fingerprints in the world, and none would ever match the other. So that's the beauty of the fingerprints.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I always struggle taking my fingerprints, especially at the airport. I think my fingers don't like to stay put. And my hands are quite small as well, so I don't know if that's a contributing factor at all.
No, during the cold, it does get a bit difficult in terms of the skin getting dry. But if you use the moisturizer, it is good. But the fingerprints are getting saved here. So the fingerprints never get saved, yeah? It's just the prints with a random number saying UAE325. So we would not know whose fingerprints are there. The only thing which we have is your unique identification number. And that's why the fingerprints are very, very, very safe and secured. You just keep it. Yeah. So once this report comes in, we will be telling Pareen ma'am about how beautiful your world is going to be and how you have to do it.
Perfect. And what I can do is I can share my results in the description of this podcast as well. So if people were interested in having a sneak peek into my results, happy to share that.
Yeah, but the world would know about your innate strengths and weaknesses.
That's good, right? I want the world to know what my strengths are. So if any big companies want to reach out to me, they know where to find me, right?
That's a smart way of doing it, yeah.
Obviously, if there's anything not so great traits, I mean, I don't have to disclose those. I can pick and choose, pick the traits I want people to know about.
I think the strengths is what we should be concentrating in and showing to the world. Weakness is what we should be working on ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think it's all about working what our strengths are. Once we've identified our strengths, I think working on enhancing those. If there's something that someone is not very good at, so for example, I'm not the best at admin, numbers, typing, that all confuses me. So I always tell my mom, like, I'm really creative. I'm really good at presenting. Just let me do the stuff I'm good at and let me focus on that, because then I can build on that strength and I can be better at it. If you're trying to make me work on something I'm not that great at, okay, fine, I'll work on it, but I don't enjoy it. And the passion will just not come through. So no, I think figuring out what your strengths are and focusing on that.
Perfect. Like, for example, say if your maths is good and your logical intelligence is good and your marks in maths has always been good, which means that you're on the right path. You like football, but your gross motor intelligence is not great, which means that you'll do good in football and soccer, but you will struggle because you will not reach to that potential because your gross motor was less. So everybody has that innate talent which you have to work in. So if your creativity quotient is higher than the maths quotient, then we have to do everything to ensure that the creativity quotient gets improved in. Also keeping into mind that the logical and analytical skills also has to be developed in. So you work towards your strengths and identify the careers on the basis of your strengths, but you also ensure that your weakness is taken care, because like for COVID, or there would be times in the future when your strengths would not be in a position to give you the right career. So your weakness should just map it across and steam to that particular timeline.
Very cool. Well, I've had a really interesting conversation with Manish Naidu, who uses Brain Wonders. So if you are interested, we'll put all his information in the description of this podcast, and I hope to get my results soon.
Surely. Thanks a lot. And one of the clinical psychologists or the counseling psychologist will just be in touch with you to interpret the report for you so that you could then talk to your mother and say, look, I always said that creativity is my strength. Now let's harness that skills much more.
Thank you for that.
Thanks a lot.